Part 8. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Da-ei Tianlong. Chapter 71. What? Chu Lan was stunned for a moment. That is a self-propelled image transmission phone bug. The images captured by that phone bug will be transmitted directly to the palace. Shiji monitors us through this phone bug. You must not let it be captured. The young woman warned the two of them with a trembling voice. Haha, I hope he comes to me soon. Chu Lan comforted her, walked to the huge phone bug, broke off its head, and smiled at the phone bug's two big eyes. Shiki, can you see me? Wash your neck and wait in the castle. I will come find you. On the other side, the Golden Lion Castle. In the huge command room, Shiji looked at the picture coming from a certain phone bug and showed a ferocious smile. Come on, I'm waiting for you. Puffing sound came from the side, attracting the attention of everyone in the command room. Dr. Indigo kept gesticulating with open hands. What's the meaning? Boss Shiji, the first batch of captains have arrived at the port. It turns out he can talk. Everyone was shocked at the same time. Ha 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 ha. Old, Mom. You've already said it's an orangutan, but how much orangutan do you have in your bloodline? Let's set off immediately and meet the captains. The Golden Lion's laughter resounded throughout the island. Gee ha 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 ha, the sea of strategies, here I come. Snowfield, central area. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Ga, ga, ga. In the ice and snow, a huge penguin quickly waved its wings clenched into a fist, moved its steps handsomely, and continuously attacked the human in a black suit in front of him. Uppercut, lower uppercut, left uppercut, right uppercut. Chu Ian's face became darker and darker, and she couldn't help but complain, what about your fucking straight punches? Hancock hugged Chu Ian's windbreaker and admired the heroic figure of Chu Lan and the penguin fighting each other with a look of obsession. Ah, Master Chu Lan, so handsome. Hey, penguin, take me to your cave, Chu Lan couldn't help but ask. He originally thought that the overlord of the snowfield would be a certain polar bear, but when he came to the snowfield, he found that the strongest one here was not a polar bear, but a huge emperor penguin. But he discovered that when he was a penguin, he was not near its cave. If he killed it, the location of the cave would definitely be difficult to find. But if he didn't kill it, the penguin would keep pestering him like crazy. Even if he was knocked down, she got up again and attacked him unyieldingly. Chu Lan scratched his head with a headache. He couldn't even carry out the simplest communication. He couldn't achieve his goal through communication. It's better to be a duck. At least he can understand human speech. A straight punch knocked the emperor penguin away. Before it got up and delivered the next blow, Chu Ian's eyes suddenly widened. He looked so domineering. The emperor penguin's movements instantly stopped where he was, and he said feebly, ga two sounds. It was obviously a penguin, but 2 drops of cold sweat suddenly broke out on its head, and then it froze into ice cubes and fell to the ground. She turned around and ran. Chu Lan hurriedly followed behind it. After a few minutes of running, finally found its cave. The cave is underground and is a space directly carved out of the thick ice. There are no items in the entire cave except ice cubes, let alone the long big treasure. Let's go, it's a waste of time. The stories in the novel are indeed lies, Chu Lan complained and turned around to leave. Hanku's voice suddenly sounded, Master Chu Lan, come here and see, what is this? Chu Lan followed Hancock's line of sight and saw a round, thick, long thing sealed inside the icicle in the corner of the house. Is this what you are looking for? Yes, so true. Chu Lan laughed loudly. The dog author will not deceive me. Armed and domineering covered his fists. Chu Lan smashed the icicles with one punch. Before the cave collapsed, he grabbed the thing sealed in the icicles and took Hancock with him. Ran out. The 12 skills of the supreme sword heaven. Scabbard. Chulan compared the pictures Warring States gave him with a dark look on his face to confirm that they were genuine. Sheath Lima. Chulan dropped the scabbard in his hand to the ground. Chulan grabbed the penguin's neck and shook it wildly. Where's the sword? Hold head high. Where is my sword? It's okay for you to be a penguin who can box. Why are you collecting scabbards when you have nothing to do? The penguin is foaming at the mouth and can't answer Chu Ian's question at all. Throw away the penguin in your hand, Hancock. Put on a windbreaker for Chulan. Since you can find the scabbard in the penguin's cave, you can definitely find the sword in other caves. Hancock, let's go and continue our honeymoon. Okay, Master Chulan. Reading books on May Day will be great. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 72. In the next few days, the two of them wandered around the island leisurely while looking for the major bosses. It's obviously the same island, but after crossing the dividing line, the scenery and even the ecology instantly become different. Such a wonderful landscape is simply the best tourist attraction. Well, it seems that you need to restrain yourself a little when fighting the golden lion. Chulan has never given up on the idea of turning this island into a famous tourist attraction. However, we still have to find the second knife first. Otherwise, he might not be able to beat the golden lion, especially on his island. Once he awakens his devil fruit ability, it will be really troublesome. Chulan, be steady. It took 3 days for the two of them to visit all the islands, even the island where the golden lion was. All the craziest and most powerful monsters were cooked into barbecues by Chulan, but they couldn't find any clues. Is the main city of the golden lion the only one left? Chulan vaguely felt that what she was looking for was right there. Main island. In the Golden Lion Castle, thousands of pirates gathered in the huge banquet hall, drinking and mingling. Countless young ladies with cool clothes and beautiful feathers on their arms shuttled around, serving this group of drunken pirates. Chulan wore a suit and swaggered into the castle with Hancock. Not many people in the world had seen the pirate empress, and those who had seen her had turned into stones and sunk into the sea. In addition, the lights in the castle were dim, so no one came to disturb the two of them while they ate. Chulan, who was tired of eating barbecue every day, ordered a few plates of fresh vegetables and a few glasses of fruit beer. She sat on the edge of the 6th floor and watched the pirates fighting below. Hancock asked Master Chulan, "So many pirates have gathered here, what are they going to do?" "See the permanent pointer on their desk." Chulan said, "They are all pirates summoned by the Golden Lion." "What did the Golden Lion call them for?" Chulan took a sip of wine and explained, "He wants to destroy the East China Sea." "What, destroy the East China Sea?" Shiji was shocked. Although it was a bit unbelievable, this is what Chulan said and it must be true. To destroy an entire sea area, isn't he afraid that the naval government will fight to the death with him? Chulan smiled. Ever since he cut off his legs and escaped from the Impel City, he has been fighting to the death with the Navy. Why did he want to destroy the East China Sea? Does Donghai have any enemies? Chulan nodded and said, "Because the East China Sea is the place where Roger was executed." After he heard the news, he went to Malinfando alone to confirm with the world government. In the end, he was defeated by Garp and Sengoku and imprisoned in Impel Down City. Therefore, he wants to take revenge on the world government, and at the same time, he also takes revenge on Roger. Master Chulan is very knowledgeable, Hancock nodded, "I see." Just as he was about to ask a few more questions, a pirate on the table next to him came to the two of them drunkenly, holding a wine glass. "I didn't expect to see such a beauty here. Come, have a drink with Uncle Polite." Chulan didn't even raise his head. He really had no interest in this little guy who came to provoke him. Hancock glanced at him and was also too lazy to pay attention. "Hey, woman." The drunk man threw his wine glass on the table and shouted, "The big pirate with a bounty of 68 million belly, the evil ghost Mr. Polite is talking to you." Nanny turned out to be Polite, who had a bounty of 68 million baileys. "I didn't expect him to come too." "Yes, are there any such strong people among the pirates summoned by the Golden Lion boss?" "What does this mean?" "There are 2 big pirates here with a bounty of over 100 million. "Hush, the evil spirit has a bad temper. Be careful not to let him hear it. Now there is something good to watch, and this woman is miserable." Chulan slowly put down the wine glass. The scabbard in her arms has been shaking since the beginning, as if to remind herself that its other half is nearby. The 2 of them have wasted too much time on the island. If they don't go back, they will really. I can't keep up with the drama of war. As expected, most creatures like pirates are extremely stupid. Chulan pinched her middle finger and thumb together and lightly snapped her fingers. Invisible waves trembled slightly. The pirate who was showing off his power suddenly pinched his neck tightly, his tongue stuck out, his eyes bulged, and he knelt straight on the ground. The boys on the side were stunned subconsciously when they saw their boss suddenly kneeling down. Boss Polite. Boss, what's wrong with you? Why did you kneel down? Boss, are you okay?" The loyal brother hurriedly stepped forward to help him, but as soon as he touched his body, Polite's body could no longer maintain balance, and his head hit the ground directly. "Bounty 6,800,000, the evil ghost Polite, die." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 73. The boss is dead. This woman killed the boss. Kill them and avenge the boss. The younger brothers ran over with knives and surrounded the 2 people. In the hall, other pirates noticed the movement here and turned their attention here, including the 2 big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. "Rude person!" Hancock shouted, and the first man who rushed up was stepped into the floor by her. She put her left hand on her hips, raised her slender neck like a swan, stretched out her right index finger, and defied everyone present. "Who allowed you to be here, making a loud noise in front of me?" Chulan covered her face in embarrassment. Seeing this with her own eyes in real life was really too bad. Except for a beauty like Hancock who claims to be the best in the world, I'm afraid no one in this world would be embarrassed to do this. "Ah, so beautiful and domineering. Marry me." In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on Hancock. The group of pirates whose leader had just died suddenly transformed into trembling dogs and licking dogs. Their eyes turned into peach hearts and their hearts almost jumped out. Chulan curled her lips and said, "A group of pirates who just died. Idiot without brain cells. Buy it, it's sweet and sweet." Hancock showed her heart with her hands, and pink heart-shaped ripples appeared from her palms and passed over these men. They all turned into stone sculptures in an instant. In the hall downstairs, the faces of the pirates who noticed the situation changed drastically and they couldn't help it. Exclaimed, "Nanny, what happened?" "Stone," they all turned to stone. The pupils of several pirates who looked a little nervous suddenly tightened. This ability, the ability to turn people into stone, is possessed by only one person in the world. "Who is it?" someone asked. "The king of the Shishibukai, the pirate empress, Boya Hancock." "What?" Everyone who heard the news was stunned on the spot, and their jaws hit the ground in fear. Boya Hancock, so beautiful, no, why is the Shishibukai here? Have we been discovered by the world government? Did Boss Shiji lie to us? All the pirates were in a panic, and many of them had already begun to flee. Chu Lan put on her windbreaker and walked downstairs. Hancock, let's go. I already know where what I'm looking for is. Yes, Lord Chu Lan. Hancock trotted behind him. The moment Chu Lan went downstairs, a huge projection image suddenly appeared in the castle, and the face of the Golden Lion appeared in it. Gee ha 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 ha. Golden Lion laughed in the video. Boy, baby Chan, you are actually able to come here. Did you treat the little animals on the island well? Chu Lan waved and said hello, long time no see, Golden Lion Chan. The Golden Lion looked ferocious and ordered everyone listen to the order and kill them. Whoever can kill him will be my deputy captain. As soon as the Golden Lion said this, all the pirates suddenly became excited. Being able to join the Golden Lion pirates is an unparalleled honor. If you can become the deputy captain, it is simply the dream of all the pirates present. This group of pirates have no brain. Golden Lion casually wrote a bad check, and they would work hard for it. He was simply the favorite member of the MLM organization. At this moment, no one cares about whether he can defeat the Shichibukai. There are so many people on his side, so how can you can use the human sea tactic to pile them up directly. All the pirates sharpened their knives, drew their knives, and rushed towards Chu Lan. Hey Shiji, don't be so anxious. Chu Lan held the knife with her left hand, stroked the hat on her head with her right hand, and said with a smile, even if it's an appetizer, you can't serve this garbage. The domineering aura is revealed. The domineering aura suddenly burst out from Chu Ian's body, and the invisible aura instantly covered the entire banquet hall. All those who had ill intentions toward Chu Lan immediately foamed at the mouth, and their eyes turned white. Unable to hold the knife in their hands, they fell to the ground one by one. The pirates who had just shown off their power suddenly collapsed one after another. In the entire fortress, except for Chu Lan and the Golden Lion on the screen, there was no one else a person can stand up. The Empress was impressed by Chu Ian's domineering look and also collapsed on the ground, looking at him affectionately. Chu Lan glanced around and said speechlessly, Golden Lion, this is the man you found. Crew. His voice was calm, and there was a hint of ridicule in his expression, as if he couldn't believe what was happening in front of him. His look seemed to say, ah, that's it? Behind the screen, the Golden Lion's pupils suddenly narrowed, looking domineering and domineering? How can it be? He had only seen this kind of domineering attitude from Roger and others, but he didn't have it now. Could it be said that this boy has the potential to become a king? The Golden Lion could not accept this fact and roared loudly, Dr. Brother Indigo, the plan begins, I will deal with this kid. Yes, Boss Shiji. The figure of the Golden Lion disappeared from the image phone bug. In the next moment, the ceiling of the banquet hall above his head was shattered, and the figure of the Golden Lion fell from the sky and appeared in front of Chu Lan. Reading books on May Day is a great pleasure. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab it now. Recharge, activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 74. It turns out that he has been hiding up there all along. Chu Lan laughed and pulled out Gui Te. Facing the Golden Lion, things like overlord color and domineering are basically useless. In addition to cleaning up the mobs in a group, it only has the function of showing off. The Golden Lion's face is ugly. He said angrily, boy, I will definitely kill you today. Without a word of nonsense, 2 slashes flew out instantly and went straight to Chu Lan. Chu Lan swung his sword at will and knocked the 2 slashes away, hitting the walls on all sides of the castle, directly splitting the castle in two from the middle. Under the dim starry sky, swaying snowflakes fell from the sky. The 2 figures disappeared instantly and reappeared, flashing like teleportation. The swords collided violently, emitting dazzling sparks. Master Chu Lan! Hancock exclaimed, and just as she was about to go up to help, a gorilla wearing a floral cotton padded jacket fell from the sky and stood in front of her. Woo-oh, the orangutan beat his chest and howled. "Get away, you damn orangutan!" Hancock's pretty face was cold. "Woo woo woo woo. What, this woman gives it to you too? You think too much, stinky gorilla." Dr. Indigo stepped on clown shoes and walked from the side, with burning fireballs dancing on his hands. "Even the king's kabuki can't let you get in the way of Boss Shiji." Chemistry juggling balls. A series of burning fireballs flew directly towards Hancock. The orangutan waved his huge arms and also attacked. Hancock did not dodge and faced the two men head-on. Two trashfish, turn into stone. Three people fight as a team. The battle between Golden Lion and Chulan is still going on extremely fiercely, and the battle between the two has shattered countless boulders floating in the air. The ferocious beasts hidden in the boulders that were affected pounced on them during the fight between the two, and took the initiative to attack them, causing Chulan a lot of trouble. The ability of the Golden Lion's fluttering fruit is really useful among the floating islands, and it can easily avoid the attacks of ferocious beasts. The two of them headed north from the castle, destroying all the buildings along the way, and did not stop until they reached the largest mountain behind the castle. The Golden Lion laughed loudly. "Boy, your swordsmanship is good, but unfortunately, this island is my home court. You must die here today." Chulan raised her chin. "Have you ever heard of the saying, villain, all died from talking too much?" His tone was calm and his face was calm, as if he was talking about a trivial matter. The Golden Lion said with a cruel smile, "What an arrogant boy, let's see the real power." He waved his hand, and the falling snowflakes in the sky suddenly froze, and he closed his hands violently. The snowflakes seemed to be controlled by invisible forces, and they rolled violently. "Get up and condense into 6 huge lion heads in front of Chulan. Lion Power Royal Palace Scroll." Chulan shook her head and was speechless. "How obsessed are you with lions? Why can't you change your moves? Take this trick first and then talk nonsense." The Golden Lion pressed down violently with both hands, and the lion heads made of blizzards in the air roared loudly. The sound even suppressed the sound of thunderstorms coming from the distance. Chulan looked back at the towering mountain. The scabbard on the waist trembled even more. Holding the handle of the knife, the domineering force instantly spread to cover the blade. "Black knife!" Chulan shouted softly and suddenly drew his sword. The extremely fast drawing of the sword triggered the hurricane behind him, forming a huge wind and snow slash. The 6 invisible lion heads that rushed towards him were immediately eliminated by this wind and snow slash. The black sword vibrated. Chulan sheathed it, and asked in a frivolous tone, "Is it just that much power? Is there any other big move?" The veins on the Golden Lion's forehead were pulsing. Seeing that his ultimate move was cut away by someone, even he couldn't stand being slapped in the face like this. "Boy, you forced me to do this." The Golden Lion's body floating in the air fell to the ground, his 2 knives were inserted into the ground, and his hands were firmly pressed on the ground. The clouds behind him surged, and the earth made an overwhelming sound, trembling. Violent trembling. It was like an earthquake. Countless gravel flew into the sky, and Chulan could not even stand firm under the violent shaking of the earth. In the sky, countless pieces of ice and snow began to entangle each other and roar, making bursts of piercing screams. Chulan narrowed his eyes. If the enemy wants to enlarge his moves, attack him while he is charging, and interrupting his charging is the best way. Although I don't know why in movies and TV series, many people will just watch the opponent charging without any defense. Half an hour later, he was directly killed by the opponent with a big move. This kind of cerebral palsy-like approach is completely impossible in a real battle. Killing him while he is sick is the most correct way to fight. If it were normal, Chulan she must have picked up the knife and rushed to chop him. Even if she couldn't kill him with one blow, it was still profitable to interrupt his ultimate move. But this time, Chulan decided to be the hero. The earth kept shaking, and the veins on the golden lion's head were exposed. The devil fruit's abilities were fully activated, and there were even signs of awakening. There was only a loud bang, and the mountain behind him was uprooted under his control. The entire mountain flew high into the sky, constantly breaking and reorganizing in the air. It turned into an extremely huge lion, blocking out the sky and the sun. The wind and snow surrounded the lion's head, as if it had turned into its hair. It's time, don't forget to add some decorations, the aesthetic is good, the golden lion. Chulan, he complained in his heart with great interest. Although the attack on his head gradually took shape, he did not look at it again. He just stared at the double-edged sword stuck in the ground in the center of the mountain. The 12 skills of the Supreme Great Sword Heavenly Kingdom. Reading is a great pleasure on May Day. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 75. Got you. Chulan couldn't help laughing. He split the boulder in front of him with a knife and cut out a passage to the kingdom of heaven. The golden lion noticed Chu Ian's strange behavior. The rudder on his head trembled slightly, and there was a faint feeling in his heart. Feeling a little bad. What the hell is this kid doing? Forcibly closing his hands, the boulders in the sky rolled violently, like a huge island-like lion, finally successfully condensed and descended on the sky. Gee ha 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 ha, boy, die. The golden lion laughed loudly, and rose into the sky, standing on the huge lion's head. The lion roared, soaring down into the sky. At the same time, Chulan finally stood in front of the double-edged sword, the blade tightly insert into a black stone base, the sharp blade revealed a coldness under the moonlight. Chulan reached out to hold the handle of the knife. The double-edged blades with huge arcs occupied most of the knife, but it was obviously so sharp and cold. The sharp blade feels warm when you hold it. Is this the kingdom of heaven? Chulan murmured, it is obviously a blade that represents death, but it is so warm. The kingdom of heaven gave out a clear cry, like cheering, as if it had found a master who truly understood itself. Chulan, draw the sword. Heaven on the left hand, ghost on the right hand. The angel is on the left, the demon is on the right. Chulan seems to be a messenger in the human world at this moment. In behind him, a boundless thunderstorm fell from the sky and fell on him. The golden lion looked at the thunderstorm so close at hand and was stunned. Afro. It's the two-sword style. Thunder and lightning roared, drowning Chu Ian's body. He stood up slowly, looked at the huge stone falling from the sky, and grinned. Chulan jumped into the sky. Boundless thunder lingered in the heaven, and boundless ghost energy was in the ghost world. Cheer is surging. The two most conflicting forces in the world are now integrated into one, obeying their master's wishes and tearing the enemy in front of them into pieces. Two-sword style Jianyu Thunder God. Cut. Chulan shouted loudly, and the two swords crossed and came down. The sword light that was enough to tear apart the night lit up. Countless thunder and lightning flashed, turning into ferocious thunder dragons rolling in the air. Countless demons turned into dragons and crashed into the male falling from the sky. Lion. A violent explosion sounded, and countless boulders shattered and fell to the ground. The island-like lion roared silently, and exploded with an unwilling expression. Chu Ian's figure passed through the barrier of the boulders and appeared. In front of the shocked golden lion, the cold blade reflected the golden lion's frightened expression, and the hand subconsciously raised did not do anything to stop him. It's over, Shiki. Chulan said this, the two knives in his hands crossed and struck down hard. On the broken earth, the golden lion was lying on the ground covered in blood. The two huge knife marks on his chest almost cut his body. Tear. Cough cough cough. The golden lion coughed up blood and looked at Chulan unwillingly, anticipating weakness, have I been defeated by a man from the East China Sea again? No, 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 please don't insult me. Chu Lan waved her hands and said seriously, I am a Tianlong person. Golden Lion Shiji, defeated. Chu Lan grabbed the rudder on his head and returned to the castle with the seriously injured and dying Golden Lion. Hancock's battle had just ended, and she stepped on the orangutan that had turned into a stone statue. Dr. Indigo was lying on the side covered in ashes. When Hancock saw Chu Lan returning, he kicked the orangutan away from his feet, trotted over and asked with concern, Sir Chu Lan, are you okay? Don't worry, I'm fine. Chu Lan comforted, this island has lost the control of the Golden Lion and is about to fall. We have to leave as soon as possible. But, how should we leave? Hancock asked in confusion. They are now thousands of meters high in the sky and there is no way to escape. Give it to me. Chu Lan stood in the center of the collapsed castle, closed her eyes, and saw the domineering power covering the entire castle. She found the target she wanted in an underground laboratory. A big hole was blasted out of the ground with one punch. Chu Lan jumped down, and soon came out carrying an iron cage. Inside the cage, a strange-looking big yellow duck with a runny nose was looking at the two of them with its head tilted. Lord Chu Lan, what is this? Hancock looked at this strange creature and couldn't help but feel a little sick. A duck, I call it a duck. Chu Lan opened the cage, and the duck walked out of the cage, running toward him with electric light all over his body. Chu Lan covered his body with a domineering aura, and held the duck in his arms. Countless electric lights burst out, billy billy the sound of electric current sounded, and the Golden Lion lying innocently on the side was shot, and his seriously injured body was scorched black by the electricity again. The electric shock skill has been strengthened, and the attack power is very impressive. Chu Lan touched the duck's head and asked with a smile, really, Sister Pao? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 76. Ga. The duck spread its wings happily in response. Who is Sister Pao? Hancock accurately captured the key information. Ahem, that's not important. Chu Lan quickly changed the topic and called a duck sister. She always felt that something was not right. You can just call it rhubarb from now on. After all, it is a relatively large duck. Why does it feel like raising a dog? Chu Lan shook his head, put all these things aside, and said, the fall of this island has begun, and it's time for us to leave. Yes, Lord Chu Lan. Sit on the duck, it flaps its wings and flies towards the outside of the island, holding the charred and unconscious Golden Lion under its feet. The huge island slowly falls from the sky, and Chu Lan only appreciates it once in his life. The scenery made me sigh. Alas, I didn't bring my camera. Hancock frowned and asked worriedly, Master Chu Lan, what should I do with the residents on the island? She is indeed an empress who cares about the people. Chu Lan smiled and pointed to the sky in the distance. Look. Hancock turned around and saw a figure flying out of the falling island. On their arms, there were originally beautiful feathers become real wings. At this moment, they seemed to be transformed into free birds. Facing the rising sun, fly towards the east. Portcas d'Ace, public execution. Countdown, 3 days. Naval Headquarters, Marine Vander. Because Whitebeard silently destroyed the 23 surveillance ships that had been discharged, the Navy headquarters was unable to grasp Whitebeard's specific location at all, and the situation became even more tense. At this moment, at the port of Marine Fando, more and more famous and powerful navies from all over the world are gradually gathering. Not only did they include all the vice admirals, but also powerful major generals and even colonels, they also gathered here one after another. Smoker's Smoker, whose strength fluctuates greatly and can't do anything, and her cute little follower Dusky. Another smoker, black prisoner Tina, Brooks' brother T-Pen, and other vice admirals, Jonathan, Ghost Spider, Stoloberg, Hwashaishan, Gomir, and others came to the port one after another. Even the 8 vice admirals of the giant tribe also came here. The 2 generals, Kizaru and Aoki, were giving random orders. Akainu sat in the office with a serious look on his face, not caring about anything. Garp chatted with Ace in Impel Down. Warring states and he looked at each other and studied countermeasures. At this point, all combat forces with the name of Justice have gathered at the naval headquarters. On the other hand, Red Continent, Holy Land, Marijoya. World Government Headquarters. A group of soldiers guarded the entrance to the hall with nervous faces. In the room, Bartholomew Bear, Joricole Myhawk, Moonlight Mariah, Marshal D. Teach, Don Quixote da Flamingo. Except for the Empress who was still flying in the sky, everyone in the Kibutai under the king gathered together for the first time. The big bear that had been turned into a weapon sat silently. Moonlight Moria was too weak and no one could pick him up. Fo ha 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 ha. Doflamingo stepped on the chair, looked at the report in his hand, and laughed. As expected of Whitebeard, he destroyed all the surveillance ships. Thief ha 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 ha, Doflamingo, this is not something to be happy about. Blackbeard retorted, holding the fruit pie and stuffing it into his mouth. He was so happy when he ate it. Hawkeye opened one eye and took a look, expressing that he was not interested at all. He was forced to work. But it is absolutely impossible to put in more effort. Everyone present, except Doflamingo, is a scumbag. I, Doflamingo, am the true villain. Just when everyone was preparing for the war with Whitebeard. Impel Down City, the underwater prison. There was peace. Magellan was still in the toilet, and Hannibal was sitting on the warden's chair with a sad look on his face. Deputy Warden, that's the warden's seat, you can't sit there. It doesn't matter, it will all be mine sooner or later. Hannibal picked up the phone casually and said, Mao, Mao. I'm the warden, Hannibal. What can I do? Deputy Warden, this is bad. The anxious voice of the soldier came. There is a pirate who is fighting with the guards. He is about to break through the gate defense. Please send someone to support him. Nanny? Hannibal stood up in awe and asked, who is it? How dare you break into this underwater prison? Report to the deputy warden. The soldier shouted loudly, it's a bounty of 300 million Baileys, the leader of the Straw Hat Pirates, Monkey D. Luffy. Monkey D. Luffy. Hannibal murmured to himself, this is the first time in so many years that someone dares to break into the underwater prison. If he succeeds, it will be the prison director's responsibility. If I can catch him, all the credit will be mine. Hannibal slapped his thigh, wonderful. In this way, the position of warden will be mine. Hannibal already thought about his future, laughed for half a minute, picked up the phone again, and ordered, no need to stop him, when he comes to LV4, I will catch him with my own hands. Yes, Deputy Warden Hannibal, the soldier looked admiring. He didn't want to fight 300 million pirates with his own hands. Ah, as expected of Master Chu Lan's Hung, someone actually came to rob the prison. Is this the chance he mentioned for me to become the prison warden? Hannibal thought boldly and carefully verified, it must be true. Only prisoners in this world will find ways to escape from prison. How can any fool take the initiative to run to prison? This person must be Lord Chu Lan to help him become the warden. Take the initiative to give yourself credit. Ah, where is Master Chu Lan's Hung now? I miss him so much, maid. Ah, sneeze. On the big yellow duck, Chu Lan couldn't help but sneeze. Hancock immediately asked with concern, Master Chu Lan, are you catching a cold? Please come into my cloak. Chu Lan rubbed her nose, a little confused, who missed me? Moving his body back, he lay naturally in Hancock's broad chest. Could it be Stella and the others? That's right. If I don't go back for such a long time, Ailey's children will miss me to death. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 77. Portcas d'Ace, Public Execution, Countdown, 1 day left. 2 days have passed since the crash on Miracle Island. During these 2 days, the two of them have been on the road. To be precise, the two of them were sitting on the back of a duck. Poor De Wong had been rushing, and his nose, which was originally one, had now frozen into two. In order to find a new sword, Chu Lan landed on the Miracle Island of the Golden Lion, but it wasted too much time. The Golden Lion's forward path was not in a straight line with Marina Vando, and the direction was slightly shifted. However, after 2 days of flying, Chu Lan finally arrived at the waters near Malinvando again. In half a day, we can reach our destination, and we can even go back to Marijo for a bath, and then go to Marineland to watch the show. But, God! The big yellow under him suddenly screamed feebly and fell head first. Damn it, can't you hold on any more? Chu Lan grabbed its feathers and shouted, slow down, I'm afraid of heights. De Wong ignored him at all and fell rapidly. At this critical moment, Chu Lan suddenly saw a pirate ship passing below. He slapped De Wong awake again. In its aggrieved little eyes, Chu Lan pointing to the pirate ship below, land there. Gah! De Wong reluctantly cheered up, tried to spread his wings, adjusted his direction, and fell towards the pirate ship below. On the deck, a beautiful woman with long legs and thin waist was waving a mace in her hand and lecturing. If you want to go to Impel Down to find Bucky, then go on a boat. This Titan is mine. Hey, why is this happening? This is Captain Bucky's ship. The woman swung the mace. Isn't that Bucky not here? Ah, indeed it is. I don't want to go to a place where I'm going to die. It's a waste of a boat. Just take a small boat and chase Bucky. That's our captain, how can you be so cruel? The mace smashed the deck. Oh, that's the largest prison in the world. It has to pass through the windless zone in the middle. Ordinary ships can't sail at all. I'm afraid you will be carried away by the huge Sea King before you reach your destination. The class ate it. The pirates were stunned, remembering the fear of being dominated by the Sea Kings. Captain Bucky, I'm grateful to you for taking care of me so far. We will always remember your great kindness. Please have a safe journey and farewell. See you in the next life. Everyone stood at attention and saluted in the direction of Impel City. But before they could turn around and leave, a large shadow suddenly appeared above their heads. Everyone had time to raise their heads before the huge duck smashed everyone under them. Ga. De Wong shook his head and found that the fall was not very painful. He spread his wings proudly and shouted. Ga. What a stupid duck, Chu Lan raised her hand and gave it a slap. I told you to slow down. I don't know if I'm afraid of heights. Ga. De Wong bowed his head in aggrievedness. Chu Lan stood up and looked around, looking at this small pirate ship. There were also a few minions that didn't look very well designed at first glance, and a foolish lion. Is it because I have a close relationship with lions? I just beat a big lion and then turned around and met a little lion? This lion looks like a weakling at first glance. Lifting her foot, Chu Lan suddenly encountered an extremely soft winter. Chu Lan looked down and saw a beautiful black-haired girl with big eyes being stepped on by her feet. Go ahead, this is a designed character. Excuse me. Chu Lan quickly took off his foot, and the beauty under him let out a charming cry. Only then did he see the woman's appearance clearly. The next moment, Chu Lan raised his foot and stepped down again. Damn it, Arita. The beauty under your feet was stepped on and fainted again. Although you became as beautiful as a fairy after eating the slippery fruit, your ant image in the first episode really left a deep impression on me. Don't let me pity you. Chu Lan rubbed her chin. Since Arita is here, then this lion is Nich, and the others, forget it, they are all just minor players who don't know each other at all. This is Bucky's pirate ship. It seems that he is not far from the Navy headquarters. The pirates on the ship had already climbed up and were hiding in the corner shivering. They looked at the man falling from the sky in front of them and threatened with a stern expression. Hey, where did you come from? We are the Buggy Pirates. If you don't want to die, just leave. When Captain Bucky comes back, we will definitely not spare you. That's it? Looking at this group of cowardly pirates, Chu Lan laughed loudly. I know Bucky well, he is my good brother. All the pirates. Leaky Udon. Bucky the Clown, a crew member, apprentice, of Gold Roger, the Pirate King, or... Chu Lan thought about the boss for a while and didn't even remember what other name he had. Well, that's not important. What's important is that he is my good brother. You are going to impel down to save him, right? No need to go, he has already escaped from Impel Down. What? Really? Boss Bucky actually escaped from the world's largest prison. Unbelievable, he is indeed the boss of Bucky. Everyone burst into tears. Where is Boss Bucky now? We're going to follow Boss Bucky. Oh, what a coincidence, I happen to be looking for him too, let's go together. Chu Lan raised her hand and pointed forward, right full rudder, departure, target, Navy headquarters, Marine Fando. Yes. Full right rudder, departure, target, Naval headquarters, Marine Fando. Navy headquarters? Malinvando. The hands of the pirates who turned around trembled, and they were all shocked. Big brother, Malinfando. You mean, Captain Bucky escaped from Impel Down and went to Marinavando? He smiled and nodded. Yes, he said he wanted to take Whitebeard's head. Captain Bucky, we will miss you forever. Farewell. As he said that, the pirates were about to change direction. Chu Lan snapped his fingers, and a wong pounced directly on him, electrocuting everyone into coke with a crackling sound. Once you get on my boat, you can't run away again. Besides, Arita finally woke up from her second coma. As the only fighting force on the ship, she grabbed her mace and shouted angrily. I don't care if you are Bucky's friend or not, I will never go to the Navy headquarters with you to die. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 78. Chu Lan closed her eyes tightly and couldn't see anything. Rude woman, who allows you to take up arms in front of Master Chu Lan? Hancock stepped forward and kicked her mace into pieces. Who is it? Arita glared at the visitor, and then froze in place. Before eating the slippery fruit, Arita always thought that she was the most beautiful woman in the sea. After eating the slippery fruit, she was even more convinced about this matter, but at this moment, seeing Hancock in front of her, her self-confidence took a huge blow. You, who are you? Arita asked in a trembling voice. Are you asking about my concubine? Hancock said disdainfully, I belong to Master Chu Lan. Of. Hancock covered his face shyly, Boya Hancock. Seeing Hancock's shy look, the pirate who was scorched by electricity instantly resurrected with full health and transformed into a professional dog licker. My lady queen, please sit down. Please sit down. What do you need to drink, wine or juice? Change course immediately, target, Malinfando. Under the service of a group of pirates, Chu Lan and Hancock entered the cabin to rest. The pirate ship exploded at its maximum speed, turned around, and sailed quickly towards the Navy headquarters. Only Arita was still on the ship. It was not just the dimension reduction blow of beauty that made her lose confidence, but she was the only one in the entire ship who recognized the identity of the woman. The king of the Shishibukai, the pirate empress, Boya Hancock. Since women are the sea thief empress, who is the man who asked her to serve? Naval Headquarters, Marine Vander. Portcas d'Ace, the public execution, the last 3 hours. In the office, Marshal Waring States walked around anxiously. The phone on the table kept ringing and hanging up. The location of the Whitebeard pirates was completely impossible to grasp, and the reconnaissance ship sent out was wiped out again. But such an important thing is not important at all compared to another thing. Haven't found it yet? Traces of the Golden Lion, Waring States loudly questioned the soldiers beside him. Report to the Waring States Marshal, because all the soldiers are in Malinfando, there are not many troops in the East China Sea, and there is no news about the trace of the Golden Lion yet. Lord Chu Lan's hung, very likely. Shut up. Waring States was furious. If something happens to Chu Lan's hung, it will cause a huge shock to the world government, and the severity will be the same as the Navy being completely defeated by the Whitebeard pirates. Zhang Qiuachu's hair is almost turning white. How could something like this happen at this time? Lieutenant General Flying Squirrel stood aside, his face filled with self-blame. Report. Another soldier hurriedly ran into the room, reporting to the Waring States Marshal, traces of a pirate ship were found outside the Gate of Justice. It is expected to arrive at Marineland in 3 hours. Damn Whitebeard. Waring States waved his hand and ordered, all soldiers, enter the first level of alert. Notify all lieutenant generals to prepare for the attack. Notify Shishibukai to gather at the port. Notify the general and prepare to dispatch. The strongest man in the world is coming. With the order of the Waring States period, the entire port began to make final preparations in full swing, loading cannonballs and adjusting the queues. The giant lieutenants played a loud role in boosting the morale of the soldiers. And in the Shishibukai rest area in the huge room of the room, Navy soldiers came to inform. Everyone, the time has come. Please go to the port together. Big Bear stood up and left first. Mariah tilted his head and said disdainfully, it's just a Whitebeard, are you too nervous? 3 hours until the execution begins. That's true, but, still have to prepare for the unexpected. Doflamingo didn't even look at him. Instead, he looked at Hawkeye, who was standing up, and joked with a smile, you're so motivated. Hawkeye didn't care about him. Huh, what a cold guy. Moria stood up and followed closely, I can't slow you down. Capturing the shadows and corpses of the world's powerful men at will is the best hunting ground for me. He. The one who is the weakest, talks the most, shows off the most, and dies the most miserably. Moonlight Moria, go out. Well, Lord Doflamingo, please do it as soon as possible. Got it, ha 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 ha. Don Quixote Doflamingo, dispatch. At the same time, Blackbeard, who is also a Shishibukai, has already secretly left the Navy headquarters. Now he has successfully entered the 6th floor of Impel Down City and is looking at what should have been him. The younger brother, the strongest prisoners at level 6, looked confused. What happened? Why were they all so seriously injured? Pushing forward into the city, abusing the prisoners. As for the last Shishibukai, Empress Boya Hancock, still resting with Chu Lan in the cabin, simply resting. With the dispatch of the Shishibukai, under the command of the Waring States Marshal, the generals dispatched at the same time. Aokiji, who was still lying in the office for a lunch break, got up from the ground and looked at the people in front of him. The soldier calling for bed asked. "Ah la la la, are you here already? Lunchtime." "Lunch? What are you talking about?" The soldier looked confused. Portcas d'Ace's execution. "Hey, I get it, don't be so rigid, relax, relax." Ao Pheasant patted the soldier on the shoulder and walked out of the room. General Ao Pheasant was dispatched. On the other side, Kizaru. The soldier in charge of convening kept urging him to take 2 steps quickly, but Kizaru still looked indifferent. Can the summons at noon really be used to summon people? What are you talking about? Please hurry up. Okay, okay, if Whitebeard takes action, there's nothing we can do about it. General Kizaru, go out. Apart from these two lazy guys and actors, General Akainu, the only one among the three generals who is motivated and capable of working, takes the initiative. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 79. Currently, surrounding Malinvondo. Well-known sailors gathered from all over the world, totaling about 100,000 people. A total of 50 warships surrounded the crescent-shaped bay and the entire island, and the coast was covered with countless heavy artillery. From the port, you can see that at the forefront of the army are the four villain pirates who hold the key to the war, the king of the Shishibukai, Bartholomew Bear, Moonlight Moria, Don Quixote da Flamingo, Joricole Mihawk. Behind them were 8 vice-admirals from the giant race. Right in front of the execution platform, there are 3 gorgeous and huge chairs. Sitting there were the 3 most powerful generals in the navy. However, there was a chair placed above the 3 generals, and no one appeared at this moment. At this point, all the forces of justice that can be imagined are gathered here. In order to prevent Ace from being recaptured, he waited for the arrival of the Whitebeard pirates. The protagonist of this execution, Portgas d'Ace, under the custody of 2 soldiers, slowly stepped onto the execution platform. So quiet. Brother Doflaming licked his tongue and murmured, "This atmosphere is so unnatural." On the shore, everyone was staring closely ahead. It was clear that the time for Ace's execution was coming, but the sea was extremely calm, and no fleet appeared. The calmness was too abnormal. If Chulan were here, he would definitely tell them, "You uneducated bunch, this is called the calm before the storm." Unfortunately, he hasn't come yet. Suddenly, dark clouds suddenly rolled in from the sky, and a piercing siren suddenly sounded. Coming. It's a large fleet of pirate ships. Zhongguo held the phone and ordered loudly, "Everyone, get ready for battle." One huge pirate ship after another joined together and slowly appeared from the shadows. A total of 43 pirate ships filled everyone's sight. Wandering Knight Thomas, Leiching Makugai, Decalban Brothers, the Great Vortex Spider Squadron. Countless captains with strange shapes have appeared in the eyes of the Navy one after another. Each one of them is a big pirate running rampant in the New World. Report: the Whitebeard pirates and their captain were not found in the pirate fleet. Don't panic. Keep an eye on the situation at sea and confirm Whitebeard's location. The Warring States Marshal clenched his fists. He must have some conspiracy. The cannons were turned around, and all the naval soldiers were ready to attack the large fleet in front of them. But at this moment, in Crescent Bay, countless huge bubbles suddenly appeared on the sea surface, the sea water continued to roll, and huge shadows appeared from Haiti. Marshal Warring States looked gloomy. He gritted his teeth and said, "Is it possible? Do all their ships come from the bottom of the sea after being coated?" As if to confirm Sengoku's speculation, the next moment, a huge sailboat rushed out of the water, setting off huge waves. The main ship of the Whitebeard pirates, the Moby Dick, appeared. Immediately afterwards, the second and third ships, the fourth ship. 3 more pirate ships appeared in the bay at the same time. The 14 captains of the Whitebeard pirates, including Phoenix Marco, appeared on the deck. Duh, 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 duh. The sound of footsteps stepping on the stairs suddenly sounded, and a tall figure climbed up the steps and appeared on the deck of the Moby Dick. He was covered with a large turtle similar to the Navy style, but there was no word justice behind him, but it's a skull with a white beard. The captain of the Whitebeard pirates, The strongest man in the world. Edward Newgate. Appearance. He looked at the naval marshal on the execution platform and laughed, "Goo la la la, warring states period, we haven't seen each other for decades, right? My dear son, is everything okay?" Whitebeard, the warring states period, was on full alert. "Wait for me a moment, Ace. Dad is here to save you." Whitebeard inserted the large naginata in his hand by his feet, his legs were slightly bent, his hands were clenched into fists and intertwined around his body. He glanced at the huge naval force with a mocking look, opened his fists suddenly, and smashed them hard on both sides. Boom! A dull voice sounded out of thin air, and the space on both sides of Whitebeard's body was like broken glass, with clearly visible cracks appearing. The next moment, the sea suddenly began to roll and roar, and boundless giant waves suddenly set off on both sides of Crescent Bay. Wave. Tsunami, coming. Huge waves hundreds of meters high rose up without warning, and the monstrous momentum seemed to submerge the entire marine land. The earthquake man who shook the fruit, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, with a human body, exercising natural authority. The shadow raised by the huge waves covered the entire naval headquarters. Everyone looked at this shocking scene in disbelief. Many naval soldiers could not even bear the pressure and collapsed directly to the ground. Did the sea earthquake actually cause a tsunami? Warring states looked at the oncoming huge waves with a heavy expression. His Whitebeard grinned and showed an interesting smile. The huge waves are about to crash down, and everyone will die under the monstrous tsunami. There is no way to resist this natural disaster-like attack. In front of the execution platform, on the seats belonging to the three generals, Kingsley's figure disappeared instantly. The next moment, he appeared in the center of two huge waves. Ice Age. Two ice lines appeared from the palm of his hand, and the extreme cold covered the boundless waves. Just when everyone lost hope, the rolling waves suddenly stopped and were completely frozen in mid-air. "Ching Pheasant, you little brat. Two thorn spears." Withstanding Whitebeard's offensive, Ching Pheasant did not stop there. The ice turned into a sharp spear and pierced Whitebeard directly. Boom! The space shook again. Whitebeard's right fist shattered the space in front of him, easily shattering Kingsley's attack. Even Kingsley himself did not dare to take this attack. His whole person turned into an ice sculpture, and his body fell apart under the vibration. Turned into ice slag and fell into the sea. However, the advantages of the frozen fruit were clearly revealed at this moment. If an ordinary person with abilities fell into the sea, there would be only one result: he would be powerless. If no one rescued him in time, he would be drowned by the sea water. Death. Qingji's body turned into ice slag and fell into the water. The sea surface froze instantly and reassembled his body. Not only did he not suffer any damage, the sea surface began to freeze rapidly centered on his landing point. After a few seconds, the entire waters in the bay were completely frozen, and even the four huge pirate ships that Whitebeard smuggled in were also frozen on the ice, unable to move or escape. I just want to be a quiet Tianlong person. Author, Dai Tianlong. Chapter 80. The battle between the two seemed to be the signal for the beginning of this war. The USS Moby Dick was trapped in the ice and unable to move, making it the best target for naval bombardment. Fire! Fire! The Navy soldier named Li Yunlong shouted loudly, and the giant cannon set up on the bay began to fire. Countless shells bombarded the hard ice and bombarded the immovable pirate ships, killing one pirate after another. Pirates naturally, they are not passively beaten. The pirate ships that were not frozen outside the Crescent Bay also began to violently bombard the Navy warships that were also frozen in the bay. Under the leadership of the captains, the pirates picked up weapons, facing the ferocious bombardment, rushed to the other side. 100,000 naval soldiers did the same. Under the leadership of lieutenant generals such as Flying Squirrel and Ghost Spider, they faced the opponent. Flying Squirrel looked serious and ran at the front of the battle line. Can protect Chu Ian's anger and vent it on these pirates. It finally begins. Sengoku stood on the high platform and murmured in a low voice. At this moment, Hawkeye my hawk suddenly jumped onto the high platform at the front of the defense line. His sharp eyes like an eagle looked at the figure standing in the center of the battlefield. Slowly reached out and grasped the huge handle of the black sword. Kizaru chuckled, oh, 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 this is really rare. Akainu was a little surprised, that Hawkeye, who has his own way of doing things, actually took the initiative to join the battle. Doflamingo asked with a gloomy smile, what, are you going to do it? Just go and give it a try. My hawk's eyes suddenly narrowed and he said seriously, how different is the man in front of us from us? Whitebeard also looked at the world's greatest swordsman in front of him. His beard was raised, waiting for him to take action. With the sound of the sword, the 12 skills of the supreme fast sword, the Black Sword Knight. Unsheathed. The real great swordsman takes action. Without any hesitation. The moment the sword was unsheathed, the big sword slashed down suddenly, and a huge slash mixed with domineering force suddenly burst out. Everyone's eyes were attracted by this huge turquoise slash. Wherever the strike passed, a bottomless ravine was cut out of the hard ice. In the direction of the strike, both pirates and navy fled in panic to both sides, fearing that they would be hit head-on by the strike. But even so, just the aftermath of the slash sent the surrounding minions flying. The power of the slash was much more powerful than the golden lion's chop. Whitebeard stood on the boat head, a calm group. Ouch! A real man's scream sounded from one side. A strong man covered in diamonds suddenly appeared in front of Whitebeard, facing the huge slash. The unstoppable slash did not pause and struck directly on his body. The expected cut in half did not appear, and the huge slash was blocked in front of the Moby Dick. The ice broke, and Diamond Jaws stopped his retreat, raised his hands suddenly, and threw the powerful slash towards in the air. Everyone was shocked and speechless. There was actually someone who could withstand the attack of the world's #1 swordsman. At the same time, high in the sky, a figure was falling rapidly towards the bay. Under Whitebeard, the moment the tsunami set off, Chulan felt the fluctuations on the sea surface, and immediately left Bucky's boat with Hancock and the Golden Lion. He boarded the Wang, flew over the Gate of Justice, and finally arrived just before the battle officially began. At that time, he came to the center of the battlefield. However, there seemed to be something wrong with the timing he chose. The moment he entered the sky above the bay, a green slash happened to rise into the sky, and the target happened to be Rhubarb flying in the air. In under such a fast and huge slash, De Wang was frightened and could not dodge at all. If he was hit by the slash, both De Wang and Hancock would be injured or even die. There was no other way. Chulan had no choice but to try to overcome your fear of heights and jump from a height of hundreds of meters. Ah, so high. Diamond Jose, labor and management are going to kill you. Chulan suppressed her screams, pulled out the heavenly kingdom, and faced the huge slash in front of her. The slashing attack of the world's greatest swordsman? Let me try. Is it your black knife night cowhide or my new love? The kingdom of heaven is more interesting. A dazzling white light suddenly lit up in the sky. Ah, so dazzling. What happened? Sky, a moon appeared in the sky. What nonsense are you talking about? Where does the moon come from in broad daylight? Ah, what a moon. My hawk's sharp eyes suddenly narrowed, and his cold expression showed a trace of fluctuation. Even when Diamond Jose resisted his slash, he did not have any psychological fluctuations, because he knew that Jose could only he changed the direction of the slash and released its power into the sky. If he was allowed to resist the slash with himself, he might be able to block it, but his indestructible body would definitely be slashed with cracks. He could feel it. Come on, that's not a crescent moon, but a slash. Crescent moon clashes in the sky. A sound that resounded throughout the square reached everyone's ears. Under everyone's gaze, the bright white slash and the green slash collided in the air. The two interacted wildly, and the surrounding atmosphere seemed to was torn apart, and then, the two slashes dissipated in the air at the same time, as if they had never appeared. At this moment, after the slashes dissipated, the figure in the air was finally seen by everyone. Whitebeard, Warring States, and 3 General, Ace, all captains, and, Hawkeye my hawk. Everyone's eyes are focused on Chu Lan. His fear of heights was gone. The world focuses on you. Chu Lan just wants to compete with 7 now. That is, Lord Chu Lan's hung. Lieutenant General Flying Squirrel, who was slashing people crazily while everyone was watching the show, finally took the time to look up at the sky. At this moment, he could no longer look away. Tears almost came out of his eyes. Lord Chu Lan's hung. Lieutenant General Flying Squirrel shouted loudly. You are finally back. It's great that you are okay. Chu Lan heard the shouts of Lieutenant General Flying Squirrel in mid-air, and suddenly felt a sense of shame. Being called by a man's name in public was simply a public execution. No, Lieutenant General Flying Squirrel, we won't. Your aloof persona is all gone now. Also, I landed right on top of Whitebeard's head, and you openly called out my identity. Isn't this harming me? Chu Lan lowered her head and looked to the tall figure standing on the bow of the whaleboat, the naginata in hand. He thought to himself, well, my kingdom of heaven is better. This knife is too big to be used. Then, he saw the man below slowly making a fist and raising his arm. Damn it! Pill!